raise your hand.
Yep. You're gonna need,
The Sewer Advisory Task Force Workshop is now open. Eric?
I got everybody here, roll call, except for, I know Tyler's texting me, said he's gonna be a little bit late. So we'll hold off and see what he says. That is yours, Scott.
Okay. Discussion and review on public input meeting. And I guess I'll start out with fire the first volley. I have given things hours and hours and hours of research and looking at. And I think I have come up with an answer that satisfies everything from Wednesday night. And that is, it will be a recommendation for a two-pronged approach to the council, giving people 90 days or whatever the council comes up with. We can't make that recommendation, to bring us the paperwork and the certifications on their septic system done by TCEQ qualified contractor. And that would satisfy the initial inspection. And for those people that do not do it in that time period, then they would go on to the monthly fee.
So they would go on to the what?
The monthly fee. So that will give the people who say they want to pay for it themselves the time to bring the paperwork to the city and get that done. And for the people that don't, then they will go on to a monthly bill.
I'd like to add something on to that.
Okay?
The folks that I've been visiting with are not necessarily opposed to the having to pay to get the inspection and get the data established. The inspection, get them all up, it's the continuation of that fee. So what I'd like to recommend is that we go ahead, maybe you'll follow up to yours, your second approach, is go ahead and get a bid from TCEQ inspectors to do whatever's left. Get a hard bid on that. And, and we won't know what the cost increase is gonna be to each home until we get that number in. And then we charge the homes their portion of it until it's paid off. Okay? Then, at that time, you would drop that rate down to just covering the city's guys going in there and doing the dip inspection, the periodical inspection, okay? Once we find who needs continuing, then they either have the option of going out and getting their own pump done and clean out done within a period of time, or we could get these guys to maybe, when out at the government, we had a delivery method called IDIQ, indefinite delivery of an indefinite quantity. They come in and they bid on pumping septic tanks. Now, they might get 10, and we can hold it to where it makes it worthwhile. We wouldn't throw one of them at a time out there on that multiple bid. But at least at that point, the homeowner has an option of going out and getting their own, or using a contractor that the city has established a rate with. And like I said, we could get them a better price on the pumping. And you already have your price fixed. And you make an agreement with whoever's coming and has got that bid, that we'll guarantee you a minimum of 10 a day. We won't spring more than less than 5 or 10 a day on you, so that you could at least make it profitable for you to do it. At your price that you're bidding on the IDIQ, you can't come and do one at a time. You lose money. Theoretically, if he has the ability to bid multiple pumps when he comes. That way, like I said, the city could still get their preferred rate from these guys, the homeowner still has the option to go out on his own and get whoever he wants to come pump that septic system and provide proof that it's been pumped. But it's gonna be based on, not necessarily a set time that everybody has to, but based on the inspection of our guys going there, flopping the lid, dropping the tube, and recording it. That seemed like a more, that seemed like a better cost-saving method of doing it. That's just an idea.
My thought on that was, at 18 months, have somebody come in and check the tanks. And that would give you the trend line to say, okay, this house can go X number, you know. So because some are gonna be a 2-year pump, some are gonna be a 3-year pump, some could be a 5-year pump, some, you don't know. But at 18 months, you can at least gauge the tank and know that in 18 months, they filled it 20%, or in my case, I have to pump every 18 months.
But what I'm hearing from the citizens is, we don't want this to be a revenue stream for the city. And we don't necessarily, I've got a lady across the street, she's an elderly, and she may not have to have hers pumped every 10 years.
That's the reason why I said it.
And that's why we get away from this mandating that they have to have it pumped every 3 years or every 5 years. But it's gonna be based on the periodic inspection of our guys doing the dip tests. Now, that's not gonna find future problems. Those future problems, I think, will show up on their own, won't they?
That would be a key question.
I would say a lot of them would be addressed tapping off the lateral lines, which I'm anxious to see just capping off the lateral lines. Like, I don't know how long it would take to get data back from that to just see how much of a difference we made there. But yeah, the rest of it would kind of, on the initial inspections, you would see what problems were there.
I would think the initial inspection would find whatever problem was there, and then you could
And
put
it
the
does.
limitation on, you need to get it fixed in 90 days, so we can get this, you know what I'm saying, if you find a crack or a caved-in septic tank, or whatever.
Whoever's dipping,
But from,
can
but after the
know
initial
what to look
inspection,
for.
and we get everything up to snuff on the initial one, then I don't know that we need to continue charging a $15 a month fee from there on, so that the city can make money off of it.
Here's the yin and the yang. Okay, we can set something up after this initial, and the only thing we're going to the council tomorrow with is the initial. But
Addressing the island.
going on with it, if at 18 months, they're 70% full, we know that by the next 18-month cycle, they're gonna have to be pumped out. Okay, now, you can set this up that a letter from the city goes out, giving them 6 months, 4 months, whatever, if they choose to pump their own tank out, or it can be pumped out and they can pay for it in the monthly fee until it's paid off. I agree for it not to become a revenue stream for the city, but we also have to make sure that it is ran at a zero net, so that if there's money spent going out, there has to be money coming back in
Sure.
to reimburse it.
Right, the first thing we gotta do is get everybody working together to get the I stop.
That's it, that's the major push.
That's what we gotta do first.
Yes.
And so we have to go with a recommendation for Eric to take tomorrow to the city council.
Yeah, I was planning on you being there and making the proposal.
Okay, whatever. So we need to come up with the verbiage to go to the council with for this initial one. So, we can go in and say for the city council to give the citizens X number of months to provide the proper paperwork from a licensed TCEQ sanitary company.
It's just like Mike here. Mike, you had that work done already. You had the risers, the seal off, and
Yeah, 2019.
so, but you have,
They
you got
have,
documentation that that's already been done.
right, yeah, 2019.
And that's what, and that would satisfy you, okay, because you don't, you
And I
can bring
didn't,
your
I didn't get any
paperwork in.
paperwork, right, so I'll have to
Well,
get it from, okay.
Yeah, and they may charge you a little bit for doing the paperwork, but, okay, they satisfy you with, you're wanting to pay for it up front. And for the people who can't do that, then they can go into the monthly fee. And, you know, I am in 100% agreement that this thing the money needs to be kept on a separate line item in the accounting, and it also needs to be ran at a zero profit for the city, and it doesn't turn into a revenue stream. So, yeah, the recommendation from what we've talked about for them for tomorrow is for them to set up is it 90 month or 90 days, 6 months, whatever. That's up to them to decide. And then after that, if it's not, then they would, with the council's approval, there would be a monthly charge for them to pay. Now, do you do that until there's $350 in reserves, or no? How do you handle what the cutoff point of it would be?
Well, maybe just give them an option of once they reach that amount, then you stop charging them. I don't know how much, overhead
But you
is
have
gonna
to-
cost.
Yeah, but you have to understand, there's 432 people, then you can't,
I know, but
So-
it's just an option.
We're taking the city's front money for this, right? Is the city front money? Is the anticipation, is the proposal?
I know you're coming in late. The proposal is that for the people who want to pay for it, or who have had their tanks done and can produce the paperwork, that they have X number of months, 3 months, whatever the council decides upon, for them to provide that to the city, and that would waive their need for a monthly fee or for having their tanks repumped.
But that service that they pay for has to meet that criteria that the city
Right.
has already.
They have to
Yeah,
fill out,
that
they have
check.
to fill out the city form.
Right, okay.
Okay, that's what I was supposed to say. So the city form has to be filled out in totality
And
for that to qualify. Okay,
Okay,
I got
but that's the
a
whole point of this, is to
Right.
gather that.
question for Eric. Who's going to manage this? Is there anybody that works for the city right now that has room for extra workload?
That's a good question, yeah.
Or is
Obviously,
we need
we have to take it all about us as a staff. All, I mean, point Sam will take on, point Alice will take on, point I will take on.
yes,
But you,
it's going to increase your workload.
You're gonna have
Especially the more we,
the more safe
The more
you make it, yeah.
the more complicated it is, the more the workload, which could result in, needing another employee. Spread it around, I don't know.
But if you,
Their decision.
but if you've got a pool
City,
of,
which is city probably, I guess.
but if you've got a pool of 400 people, say 400 people are participating in this,
Mhm.
that the city is going to front the money, right, where the city's paying up front to have this done.
If the people don't provide the
Yeah, if they
documentation.
don't, okay, so the city's gonna front the money, so then we're gonna divide that monies by how many ever services, by how many ever months, right?
Right, and that's,
So then in theory, everybody, unless they're not paying something, you should, when when that line item goes from red to black and you reach a zero balance, then the fee should quit. I mean, in theory.
Or something that the approach at that
Or,
time.
yeah,
or it goes down to $2 or, a negligible, because to turn it on and turn it off, you're gonna have some administrative costs.
Well, that gets us up to that point. That gets us up to the paying for the inspections and then
Yeah, one second. There's
Another question I have is, to do that properly, you're gonna have to set up an account for each one of those individuals that they're paying on, that's paying a monthly fee?
It'll be on their, yeah, it'll be on their.
They will be on their water.
Is there a way,
Yeah, they already got
on
an
your
account.
water bill, I don't know how your accounting is it on your water bill where you can add another column saying, special column for,
Like on your charges on your water bill where it says water,
Yeah, is there
trash, sewer.
can you put on account, a special column saying, I don't know how it's, your software is, or if you do it software, but add another, bracket saying, this person has purchased, buying a septic system cleanout system that's being charged a monthly fee. Can you do that on your software
Yeah, I mean, so it'd be another itemized line on there.
line? And see, this way, what I was thinking is your way of getting down to zero. The customer or the resident would know exactly where they stood on the item. This way you knew how it said, and be less accounting, because all you're doing is saying, oh, this person needs this, just add $10. But I don't know how you would have the ability to go into the software for each.
You're saying every customer would be different amount?
Well, that's where eventually it's gonna be.
Why?
Well, some customers might say they only need, let's say you have a person that only needs, risers and risers. But they don't have the money to put a riser in, that's what, $100. Okay, they don't need the septic tank cleaned out, they just don't have risers. Right? Or then you'll have a different person says, I don't have risers, I don't have my septic tank. Like at my house, I don't have risers, but I cleaned it out July 3rd. But there's no risers anywhere. There's little pieces of
The
pipe.
more segmented we make this.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I know, but how are you gonna do it?
if you're gonna make it that segment, then you're almost better just going back and putting it all on the homeowner, saying, hey, here's what we asked.
Yeah, let's just keep it to the clean out at this point, because that's what we need to move forward.
Yeah, we're gonna know more after the clean out and after the first sludging as far as what people's future needs are going to be than we can probably look at right now.
What about locating lost ones?
Yeah, see, that's one of those things too, where they come to your house and they can't do the full inspection, and so,
Yeah, nobody knows where it's at.
yeah.
I mean, how many houses, because we've got Bobby's
I mean,
notebook.
my only thoughts was, you're not gonna know what your total inspection cost is gonna cost until it's complete and done. Once whoever was awarded the bid goes out and spends the next 6 months doing all the inspections, then he's gonna come back and say, hey, here's what I told you I was gonna charge you, here, this house is this much, this house is this much, depending on the bid. And then at that point, you're gonna know the total cost. Because you might get in there and everybody might not need to have their septic tank found and everything else, and everybody's, the full, whatever, the full inspection. There's gonna be other ones come in there that don't need the risers and everything, and so you're not gonna be able to tell, we're not gonna be able to tell the upfront cost until the work is done and then inspection. Once the work is done, the end of the inspection, that's sort of where you're gonna have your, it costs us $178,000 to do all that. And then once you get that $178,000, that's where you come with, well, then who's paying the $178,000? Do we take off those people that already have their septic, their inspections done, and have paid for it out of their own pocket and provided, so that we don't charge them the 90% of the time, like when you call for a guy to come out and pump your tank out, he's gonna come out and pump your tank out. He ain't gonna open it up, look it up and everything.
It was not, I was there, I stood there and watched the guy do it, and I'm looking to go, the metal pumpers in the driveway,
Right.
that's where it's at.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you had yours done, you told them, Scott, to take pictures of yours.
Yes.
to give to- Yeah, see.
I told him I was the first person to use the new Lakeside City inspection process.
But on my system, they took pictures, and your guy took pictures. Or he took a picture, I think, or Lone Star took a picture. So they went in and took pictures of the green tank, they took pictures inside the tank,
When was this?
July 3rd.
You had it pumped out?
Yeah.
And they
it was
took
Lone
pictures,
Star.
what'd they do with those pictures?
I don't know. But they took them.
See, I did not, I stood right there, he sucked it out, and I bid him a good day. And I paid him and he left.
Right.
So, and I imagine most people are gonna be in the same situation that I'm in, where I'm paying for it again, which is fair enough. That's the reason we're doing this, is to collect that data. But I'm definitely working again.
I wish that Lone Star guy was here, we could ask him when he gets his picture. I don't know if he's made pictures for each of his customers, see where he stands, I don't know. But I know he took pictures, because he put the camera down there. and-
He took pictures and more than likely he's got them on file. for
Yeah,
his own-
that's what I'm thinking.
For his own
protection.
For his own protection,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, that or he kind of thought maybe this was coming up the road. Either way, be looking out.
Well, we'll find out eventually. This is on down the road, still. But I agree with him that, you know, with those people who had theirs pumped out recently, it's gonna be hard to prove. All you can prove is, yeah, I paid for somebody to put
Okay,
it out.
then then as a committee, will we accept an affidavit of fact? That it was pumped out, by.
Well, so what pumped out isn't the question though, was the inspection done?
Was inspected.
Well, but they,
Well, I think we can push the inspection on to the next pump out.
Which might be 3-4 years down the road.
Yeah, which is, I mean, for the most part, those tanks aren't ruptured, you know, for the most part.
We still need to, we still have
Need
an
to get
I&I problem.
inspection done on I&I.
We still have an I&I problem we're trying to address, and part of this is address the I&I problem, so. I mean,
Most of the time.
I'm just trying to alleviate the heartburn.
You're just not gonna get rid of it. You're just not gonna make everybody happy. That's the problem. And I think the bottom line is we need to make sure that we get what we need so that the city can make an informative decision on the way forward. Period in the story.
There's gotta be
If that costs more something than somebody, then cost somebody else, and so be it, but they've got to have the data.
I agree, I mean, and I'm taking a bite of that too, and I still agree with
But also,
Yeah, because it ain't gonna get better if we don't go through picture.
I also think that if a septic tank is, creating a major I&I problem, with leaking, you're going to see soil erosion where it's washed down. Or if you don't, then you're talking about just ground slow seepage.
But if we're taking just a picture, or we're taking just a point, canceled check as proof that that happened. Nobody's putting eyes on it. We don't know. And all I did is to know, and that's the reason of this is to say no. I mean, I know a plumber. But, I mean, the whole idea is to gather the data to be able to do two things, right? It's to address an I&I problem at the same time gathering the data, to know where the worst offending tanks are and to know where we need to move.
So let's get over the first hump. And then when we sludge the tanks, then we will have a better look-see for what's gonna be in the future.
When's that contract supposed to be awarded?
Have we got any bids back on it yet?
The only reason I haven't put the bids up is because I gotta make sure you don't have all your I's crossed and I's dotted and T's crossed. And then they're ready to go out, and then we'll just come back. You put it out once, and you bring it back, and put it out again, just then shopping for bids, and it's a big no-no. So I wanted to make sure
Get
we're all on the same
time,
page.
get it out.
with the proposal to the council and everything else. It's ready to go. Dean's to go ready, everything else.
So you just want to make sure right now, we're just going to propose to the council about running inspections.
They wanna know where to allocate money from.
So what under your proposal of a valid inspection document that can be produced that meets all it, that person would not be on the charge list.
That's,
But those people, in my opinion, are few and far between, just like he said, he had his done. He's not
He
gonna
would
be able to
probably
come
be one
up.
of those.
But he
But he would probably put it in.
it didn't fulfill all the items on that punch list, inspection list.
Correct.
And so,
Therefore, I'm on the end. And rightfully so, that's the reason we're doing it.
Because, you know, you might have had it pumped out last week. That's something that's already full of water, he ain't been able to see anything in
That's
full of
exactly what
water.
happened to me.
You ain't gonna be able to see anything in full of water,
Yeah.
so you gotta pump it out to inspect it and to get it verified that you don't have any problem with your tank.
Yeah.
Understood.
That was the whole thing from the get-go. All the tanks need to be pumped just so they can get a visual of what it looks like dry. Because you can't see the bottom of the tank, you can't see the side of the tank. It's all full.
If something were to happen, we would say, okay, in October of 2020, this is what it looks like. And then, that will at least give them something to budget off of. And we can't talk dollars because we don't have the quotes back.
Yeah, you can barely see the, like, sidewalls when it pumped, like, it's all sludgy, slimy. It's-
But you can see a hole,
My pictures are,
Yeah,
starting to collapse.
yeah,
But I think
that's it.
once we get the information from all the tanks, Lone Star might have a database. I don't know.
Heath, there's the picture that they took.
No.
Just sitting on.
Is that your food water?
Yeah, that's a cool one.
But once we get that
Yeah,
information,
pretty clean tank.
But then you got tanks like I just now did like a house and pulled the top off the tank. I don't know how you would see the walls in that thing, but I mean, you can see a hole.
Older one, yours is a fiberglass tank.
No, concrete.
It's concrete.
so once we get that information, we can deal with it as we go. And the city might, council might come up with an idea saying, once we have that data, we can make better decisions based upon the information that is available. And like he said, you know, I might have to bite the bullet since I didn't get accurate pictures for my benefit, but I know they were taken.
I bet he's got them. If they took them, you know they say. They were fine.
And the city will take it on a case-by-case basis, maybe, city council.
Well, we're talking to Lone Star. See, Puff back, he's got a picture. Okay. We may have the answer here.
But I know in my case, I know I need risers. The risers I have are just little, the decent height. But at least I know where they are.
I mean, they came in on my tanks with the green risers on it. Fantastic.
I think there's not more like that.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. We're sitting in this meeting, and the question came up,
I think it's gonna cost.
are you taking pictures, when you come in and do pump out,
He
let's
just-
just sit here, are you taking pictures?
That's what it is.
And people are gonna be upset about that.
Because Larry Sturgis said, that
But the
just because
greater
his house was out
amount
there,
of
he pumped his
Jordan.
out and took pictures, you still have those pictures.
You know, it's like I talked to my dad the other day. He's a little
Mason will?
the deal they payment on it is less he did.
Okay.
You'll look at him and tell him he's gonna earn $400. Well, that might be, that might be six of his savings.
Okay.
Because you
That's
take
what I
pictures
thought.
every time you come up.
He said, Jeff says typically right now they do not take pictures, because that's not part of an inspection. He only took pictures of Scott because he asked him to. He said Mason might still have yours, but that's what I'm. Okay.
Does he inspect the tanks for cracks when he pumps?
I'm putting you on speakerphone.
Do you check when you do a pump out, do you check for cracks around the tanks?
They pump out the tanks, we're not actually doing a true tank inspection at that point. But if we see something obvious, like we pump out the bottom, we see it all cracked up, you know, we typically tell somebody. Whether it be Sam, Kevin, or Eric, the homeowners are there. A lot of times when the homeowner's not there, when we do it.
So the issue has come up that somebody had it pumped, say, last January or February. And, you know, so they meet the criteria of having their tank pumped, but they can't provide the documentation to say whether there's physical damage to the tank or not. And what we're trying to come up with is, can we do an affidavit of fact from you that when you pumped it out at that time, that the tank was, you know, safe and no cracks?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because last January, we went in there for tank inspection, there for a pump out.
Okay.
Now, from this point forward, we will probably start doing pictures and just documentation. Just to be ready for the new norm, whatever that decides to be.
Okay,
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, and then we put risers on that one over on the other day, we took pictures of that, so I'm trying all those for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Good deal.
so he checks for obvious, but not, or in-depth inspection.
I think that's unreasonable, because you really can't see unless you actually get in,
And get the camera turned up.
turn it up and everything, but you can see obvious, like mud might be coming through, especially if it's just rain like it has. That's good. Okay.
Anybody else?
Do you need a motion on that part, that portion of it? That we
It's nobody's.
So we allow the homeowners a certain period of time to provide documentation of an inspection to meet all the criteria. After that period of time, then, they go on a payment to cover the cost of the inspection to get the database. That was your proposal?
Right.
And that gets us up to the inspection and gets
They
over
give them
that.
enough that they can do a budgetary.
So the options are the city pays, the resident pays, or the resident goes on a payment plan.
When it's resident goes on payment plan, the city's paying for it.
We front the money.
Upfront.
And we carry
Is that
that,
satisfying what you were
Well,
talking about last week?
first of all, let me ask a question. I, is that inflow and?
Yeah.
That's water coming into the system.
Okay, what is the other I then?
Inflow and infiltration.
Okay. And somebody's making, said something about capping off the, lateral lines. Does that mean digging, or can you do it?
No,
right there?
it's in the green tank, they just stick a fork in it and tighten
Oh, that's
it.
just on the green tank, that's not on my tanks.
Well, the lateral lines are pulled off of, the lateral lines on our systems should not run to the septic tank, they should run to the green tank.
Okay.
And if you live on a lake lot, there's a pretty good chance it was already done in the late 80s.
So it sounds like I'm gonna have to have mine pumped again, inspected. I've got the risers on, but it sounds like, because mine was done in 2019.
Yeah, you don't have pictures of the tank, I'd say yes.
And how they have a flexible camera
Mhm.
they put in there? Okay. And do they inspect the green tank at the same time?
Everything.
So do most septic systems have two tanks?
You either have a one tank and
Pre-strat,
or you have a two tank, right?
I've got two tanks.
Yeah.
I think both
you got
of
two
mine are
tanks for a
just-
large two compartment tank.
Yeah, two compartment tank, or one compartment and green tank.
No, I was there when they dug it out, so when you, in the future, when you have a tank cleaned out, it doesn't have risers, it's gonna have to have risers.
Right.
So I got that covered.
Well, I guess the next question is if we set options for a time frame when residents have to get this done by?
That's the council item.
Well, I know the council's gonna want to know what y'all's recommendation
Yes,
is.
sir, that means they're gonna wanna know options.
But when you know how fast they can get this
I'll
done,
go with the 90-day recommendation from us, and they can change it if they want.
90 or 180,
Yeah, that's,
it's 400 inspections to do.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of inspections.
Yeah.
I mean, just
consider-
availability of trucks and equipment, I don't know if 3 months.
What he's saying is the 3 months is the time for people to get it, pumped out their own.
Oh.
So let me see if I understand this right. I'm hearing you say, your recommendation to council is tomorrow. If somebody wants to pay for it out of pocket, and they got 90 days for themselves to pay for it out of pocket, get the documentation and turn it into the city. After 90 days, if those That address has not been checked off on the list. That resident, his water bill is gonna start getting a $15 monthly charge for the next, until the total cost of the inspections is paid off. Once that total cost of inspection is paid off, that $15, whatever that fee is,
Yeah.
falls off everybody's water bill, and
Yes.
we're back to normal.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Do we need to put $1 or $2 in there to cover the additional cost of those guys going out and doing each individual homeowner inspection every 18 months, or is that?
I think we need to cover that probably
Or we,
from now.
or do we even want to deal with that right now?
That's what I'm saying. All we're tasked with for tomorrow is to give them a budgetary item for 2020, 2021. Go ahead.
I will just suggest this, on a homeowner paying it on his own, the 90-day period, I don't see a problem with that, but maybe it ought to be, because if they start doing these inspections, I don't know how long it's gonna take them. They may not get to me for 4 months, but if
But you
you're on
can
the
provide,
books, do
you can
you
provide,
get?
right.
Okay, if you're on the books then, and it goes past the 90 days, which you're on the books, so you're off the hook.
As long as city's notified.
Which by the time this thing goes out for bid and all that, and you get bids back and you award that, you're probably looking
Yeah.
60, 90 days down the road
At
anyway.
least.
It would be my thoughts that if you give the homeowners 90 days, we wouldn't start the city inspections that the city's gonna front until after those 90 days. So whatever, these contractors have 90 days literally to do, those that wanna pay for it out of pocket, and then after that, they would start on.
That'd be pretty cool too, because that makes sure that the equipment's free, we're not hogging up
And
the
Are we-
contract.
are we going to allow the homeowner, if we get a reduced rate with the city, can he walk into the city office and write a check for that amount and be able to get it done at the discounted rate?
I think that's up to the vendor.
Yeah, I don't think the vendor's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll give you a discounted rate, because, because I think it's one of those things, that's the whole thing of,
That's
But we're talking about
that's
we're talking
vendor
cash.
thing. That's not us.
yeah, that's up to the vendor.
That's
If the vendor wants to give them a discounted rate.
But that's an option though. I mean, you can have a resident come in and say, here, I want to pay what it's going to cost me through what you guys contracted. And you schedule it, but here's payment for it. That way you
You
know,
just put it on
because
Instead of
the
paying out a
bill.
month, he just cuts a check for the whole thing.
and you're going to get a discounted rate when you're going to get 400 people. to-
Sure, that's your discounted rate, is your,
Right.
Yeah.
your unit price.
The power of number.
That's actually for those people who want to pay for it
Yeah.
themselves, that's actually.
So that's what
probably-
it is.
That's where you
I
go.
wanted to make sure that got into it.
Yeah, because that's, they're going to ensure that what the city is asking for inspection wise gets done.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
gonna be-
a good idea, I like that, I'd rather do that myself.
I would too.
I think the only time that would really hurt somebody was if you got everything done, besides maybe risers.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing, is so, after 90 days, we're gonna start putting a $15 fee on people's water bill. If Mr. Murphy walks in at day 95 and says, here, I wanna pay for it up front, so does that mean I then take it off of his water bill?
Well, his portion of it, you would think.
So then.
But that would have to be done within the first you would have to make that decision within the first 90 days.
Okay, so after 90 days, you don't get an option anymore, you can't
Right.
come in and say, no, I wanna pay for it up front.
Right.
Okay.
It's just a fee.
And, go ahead.
I'm sorry, so is this still leaving it to, if the homeowner wants to pay, they can get who they want to?
Mhm.
Or they
That's an
can,
option.
Right.
or I can wait to see what discounted rate
You can
The
use it
discount rate is, right.
and where are we,
Up to
are
the
we,
90 days.
up to the 90 days.
right, are we assuming this is gonna be within the next 6 months, this is up and
My
running?
intentions are to get this thing rolling in time for the next rainy season, so that we can get data points of how much water that we're saving.
Okay, so if I decide to go ahead and get my tank pumps, should I have the city come out and do the sludge test, the BS test?
No, because it's gonna be pumped.
I would get this form that needs to be filled out
Yeah, okay.
and make sure the inspector
We
does
put
it
that on
and
the
does
website.
inspection, takes pictures.
Yeah, what I was getting at there is, I know the time frame when I had it pumped, and then I would know how much BS was in the tank in that time frame. So,
Yeah, when Lone Star comes out or whoever, Ajon, whoever it is, they can sludge it before they pump it.
so I should just wait till we have the front settled, okay?
Now, the next question that's gonna come up is, we allow them 90 days to make their decision. But if we don't know what the, I don't wanna use the word discount rate, but the volume price is until day 75, people can't make that decision in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait till after the bid price come in,
When do you
and
think?
allow 90 days.
If you're gonna allow that option.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Most likely, after tomorrow night, the bids go out Wednesday morning.
So is that a 2-week process?
Usually you give them about 2 weeks to get all their stuff back in.
Okay, so.
I'd say 90 days would start from the day that you get the unit pricing.
So we started October 1st.
so, hold on, here's the problem. We don't know what the total cost is gonna be, so we don't know what the bid price is gonna be. Because each individual homeowner who participates in this payment program is gonna take an equal amount as everybody else of the financial burden.
Right.
So, and we don't know what that's be, the total that's gonna be, until the whole thing's done. We know what the absolute worst could be, which was if all 400 and whatever tanks took the maximum amount. But we don't know what the best is gonna be, so are you actually able to look at somebody and say, this is what it's gonna be? You can't until everybody's inspected, all the bills are in, and then you look at that and you say, okay, here's the total bill for this, here's what we spent on it, there's 420 participants, this number divided by 420 is this amount, and they've already paid this many months at $15, so this is taken off, we've collected this much off these 420 people over the last, it's probably takes 6 months to make this happen.
Well, see, the bid though, per unit will give you a not to exceed price.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, all you're gonna have is a not to exceed.
Right.
Well, you're not asking for a bid for every house in Lakeside City, you're asking for 5 different kinds. I think Tyler's exactly right on what he's saying, you're not, I think you're gonna have to ask the city to front the money up front to cover it all, and then at the end is when you have to come back and.
Or you start charging $15 now, because for instance, if you charge $17.80, right, so it's $180,000, 420 participants, 24 months, $17.80 a month.
Yeah.
Is what that would cost, 420 people, $180,000, 24 months, $17.80.
Do you do that in your head? Yes. I am.
That might be wrong, but it's $17 something. So I'm just saying, so if you start charging $15 a month, and the worst it could be when you get the bids back, I mean, we're assuming, I'm just saying 180
Yeah.
because somebody said at some point. But I'm just saying, so if you start collecting $15 now, it takes six months to make it happen. There is no possible way
You're right.
you could have possibly been a bad steward with that money because you've only collected less than 25% of the proceeds to make it happen. So I would say that we've got $700,000 that we can use that money out of, that we're gonna borrow from ourselves, it's gonna be reimbursed. So if the city fronts some money for this, we can start collecting 15. I'm just saying
Yeah, that
15,
makes
I
sense.
don't know, but if you start collecting this X fee now, or as soon as the program rolls out, 6 months from now, you have a total cost. And then you're like, okay, we've been collecting this fee, 15, 17, whatever dollars. It's gonna go on for this many more months.
Right.
You'll know. I mean, so you can say how much, but you can't do the math for how long until you get the total. And you would anticipate that it would be less than that worst case scenario. Because once you get that back, you'll have your 5, you look at your most expensive one, you say, okay, say 75% of them are gonna be this number, and everything else will be some average of something below it. Or you say everything's gonna be this number, and it's gonna get better from here.
And then after that, the price should drop for the next ones.
Right.
The next round.
Yeah, because
Because you're not, having to add a whole bunch of things.
so from then on,
It's just
you've
gonna
got
be
a
standard.
one item bid that is, hey, what does it cost for a Lakeside City pump out, which is a pump out and an inspection? Fair enough. I mean, that's the same pump out we've been getting close to Kenmore, because of the painful part of it's over.
Yeah, we don't have to put extensions on, we don't have to.
Exactly. It's just a pump out with the camera, which is the same thing he got. What did that cost you? You don't want me asking?
I don't know why, but
Answer I've got.
I haven't gotten to.
I think it was 3 something,
Okay.
I think 3.5 or something like that.
yeah, 3 something, 364.
Usually around 350.
Your math is correct.
Good brain.
I'm impressed.
That
1780?
was impressive.
Damn impressive.
So the point is at worst case, it's $17, $18 a month. Let's round up, let's make it easy. It's $18 a month. So you start charging, and I don't know what the max would be, but you would say, you start charging $18 a month now, and at worst case, it's gonna take 24 months. We've already collected it for 6, we get everything back, we're like, hey, guess what, guys, that wasn't 180, that was 160. So now we're only gonna go 18 months.
Yeah, sure.
And as the houses get done, you know what those bills are gonna be.
Yeah.
So you can get with those homeowners.
Well, they don't get the different bill. Everybody gets the same bill though. If everybody's taking money out of the same pie, then everybody's gonna have to embrace their equal amount, no matter what the services they needed
Yes.
were. And if you don't wanna take that, if you don't wanna be in that category of having to your neighbor pay for part of yours, and you pay for part of your neighbor's, then you take the 90-day opportunity,
Yes. And pay for it.
you pay for it. And after that, after you're in the pool, then
You're in the pool.
welcome to the Obamacare of
Lakeside City.
And you're gonna take an equal amount of bite, just like I'm gonna take an equal amount of bite of my neighbors, he's gonna take of mine, and it's gonna average out.
I agree, I
And
mean,
it
mine's
keeps
all,
it counting
mine's all
simple.
it's good, but I don't mind paying, I don't mind paying the price of the water bill to equal out there. To make the ones that aren't under code.
This will make the people that wanna pay for it happy, and this will take care of the ones that wanna pay it up happy.
As long as it's understood in the language of whatever we're proposing,
Right.
whatever the council does,
So now,
here's the deal.
so now we need to come up with the wording so Eric can write it down. Yeah.
I mean, Mason, you.
No, I just want you to take the notes down.
Hold on a second, we've got one of the most, what do you think about this? Because if anybody is gonna say anything about this, it's gonna be you.
Y'all got a hell of a task,
So what do you think about that? So what do you think that if you did not take the 90 days and you chose to participate in the group system, what would you think about having to pick up a little extra money for your neighbor gonna pick up a little extra money for you?
That's a great idea.
Are you gonna be upset with that? Because if anybody's gonna be upset, it's gonna be.
Wait a second, you missed the
You're
last
talking to the
meeting, he
microphone.
said he would pay for.
I
those
know,
bills.
I was gonna bring that up.
That's something y'all gotta finish working on with it. Yeah, I think everybody would pay you that amount.
So you don't have a problem with,
No, I don't
do
think
you
most
have a problem
people
with
do.
that?
Well, I'm gonna pay.
I think that goes back to what Wade was saying, most people don't mind paying that, and when it's time to cut it off, and,
As long as it's not forever.
Right.
Yeah, then we don't wanna have
I
a.
don't think there was ever an intention for it to be forever.
I don't know, when you start throwing out options, it easily turn into forever.
That's what we don't wanna
Because
have.
I heard, when I asked that
Action.
question early on, it was said to me, oh yeah, this goes on forever. It didn't sit good.
I think that's just a past history thing, that so often that does happen.
It's true.
So
I think with a daunting task,
So we put a 24-month sunset on?
Well, whatever the math says, because you're gonna have to come up with a number
Yep.
before you know what the total is. So if you say, you'll get the bids back, you'll know what the most expensive is gonna be. And if you wanna do some math for 75% of most expensive, and then the rest is some average below that, then you can look at that total, divide that out amongst the participants. But in the meantime, you could say, you look at that and say, okay, the worst it's gonna be is $17 a month. And the worst it's gonna be is 24 months. and it'll just get gooder from there.
I don't think, I agree with Mike, I think most people aren't gonna have a problem with the $17 a month. Where you're gonna have the problem with the kickback is, they come into it and their septic tanks are covered up by a patio. And then you're like, hey, sorry, you're paying $17 a month too, you need to have your patio dug up, your septic tanks exposed, and all that. That's where you're gonna have the problems with people.
I'm fixing to pay $17 a month, I have to take a saw to my driveway, cut
Yeah.
the driveway out.
Or people that get their thing, pay the $17 a month, get their septic tank inspected, find out they got a big crack at the bottom of it, they're gonna be out $4,600 for a whole new one. That's where I'm afraid you're gonna get a lot of kickback.
Yeah, but it's gotta get done.
It's
Right, I agree.
It's just what it is.
That's
It's
totally.
like a transmission in your car.
It is.
The transmission goes out, you get a new one.
Yeah.
You need a new
You know,
one.
I think the biggest thing when that does happen is you give the resident a little bit of time to have it done.
For sure.
You know, I mean, that should be the biggest thing.
Well,
The
then-
city can work with you and say, hey, if you can get this done in the next 12 months, then you're good. You know, because somebody may not be able to afford it, period.
But you're controlling the INI. You're getting your grasp on it.
We've got our data, we've got a plan moving forward, hey, you got, in 12 months is forever on any kind of, I mean, grow your grass too tall in Wichita Falls, find out how long you got to cut that. Burn a house down over there, find out how long you have to demo that thing.
Grow your grass on the other side city.
It's just about working with people, making them understand.
I think it's
The INI is a major problem, y'all know that.
If we address I think what the big thing is, if we address I now, then that affects what the solution is moving forwards for the sewer. And, you know, if we went with something like a package plan, that makes that package plan cheap, which makes it more feasible. Or it makes, hey, do we get to such a point that we don't have an issue now? Can we spend the money to dredge the lagoons and kick this down the road? But, I mean, so it really affects the decisions you make. We need that data. We really need that data.
Let me ask for a little clarity here. So if you're gonna pay for your own tank, initially, everybody's gonna get on their water bill a charge. And so then, if I'm gonna pay for my own clean out, I guess, will I?
You will not get a charge on your water bill.
You have 90 days to say yes or no. And
Okay,
and on the 120th day, that's when the first charge would come.
I would call it an inspection and not a clean out. Because that's what you're getting an inspection
Yeah.
on your septic tank.
well, I mean, that was back last year though, so they not gonna be able to see the bottom unless they suck it out.
Right, so you need a whole other inspection where they come in and complete a legit inspection to the new standards or whatever.
So you're getting a clean out, you're getting an inspection. It's more than just clean out, I think what they're saying. It's a clean out and.
Well, I should just wait till it's settled into the form to fill out.
Well, we've got the form, so if you want to do it tomorrow, we've got the form. It's approved, right?
It's on the website, isn't
It's
it?
on,
I don't think
I
it's.
don't think it's on the website yet.
Okay.
We just don't know the price.
And are people gonna get, or will people be able to, I mean, some people are gonna wanna do the clean out on their own, and they may have buyer's remorse and say, the next time around, I wanna get in on the,
well, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole other thing down the road.
Yeah, this is just the first shot.
initial
One deal.
Initially, yeah, see where everybody's at.
This is
Well,
the
I
big
need that
thing.
form. So I can get it out of my hair.
So that's your options. And so your option as a homeowner is to have this inspection done in this form in 90 days, or you're participating in this, your equal part of this gross number,
Cost.
and you're gonna start that at X time before we know the total cost.
That's how you would write it, say upon, each resident in Lakeside City has 90 days to provide the city council with information on their inspection of the septic tank and
To meet the guideline.
to meet the guidelines of the inspection tank. And after 90 days, they will be charged on their water bill X amount of dollars until all septic tanks have been inspected and paid.
Yeah, I do have a question though, that what if you have your inspection done now on your own? What about the issue of risers?
That's part of the
Part of the
inspection.
inspection.
They had to put risers on mine.
Okay.
I think they'll get risers on mine.
Well, I think that's satisfied, I mean, that, people that don't wanna mess with all that and just have it taken off on their water bill, and then people like me that just wanna have it done and pay for it directly to the person that does it. I think that solves that solution.
Yeah, but you might get a better price since they've already been out and done a portion of the work, so you might get a better.
I don't get that much.
See, that's why it makes it real simple for the city council to approve or disapprove. Also, it's very well, simple worded, that they know exactly where the citizens stand.
I agree, I think this,
I'm gonna repeat it, and then you guys chime in if I do it wrong,
Make it as simple as possible.
okay? The recommendation to the city council will be that for a period of 90 days, a homeowner can contact the city and say that they would like to pay for it up front. If they do not pay for it up front, then on the 120th day or the next billing of the water bill, they will get the monthly charge of,
well, stop.
120th day, then the 91st day,
well, the bill.
The first billing after the 90th day.
which will be the 91st day. You get a bill every month, don't we?
You just say the third billing period.
Yeah.
Third and fourth bill.
But they don't need to say that they're gonna, they need to have documentation.
I wouldn't
You
say
need to
120
have the
days, I would just
documentation
say,
in hand in 9 days, inspection completed, turning this submitted to the
Provide
city.
documentation to the city council.
Yeah.
That they have had their septic tank.
Because the city needs a form, the city needs the pictures.
Provide docs, fix.
I will say this, for the people that are gonna have it done on their own, they probably need the list of the approved people that y'all approved.
Anybody who is TCQ,
So I need to ask that, well,
Not
Lone Star did mine, so
TDLR.
they're,
Lone Star,
Hey, John.
Hey John, IESI,
but
IMC, I'm sorry.
I think that's the only.
That's only three that I know.
It's only three local ones, there's other ones out of the Metroplex and stuff like that, but.
I think there's something
But,
Johnson.
you know, they still have to be licensed. That's the key of that other order we have.
Okay. They have 90 days to provide documentation, pictures, and city-approved forms from a licensed TCDQ inspector.
the TCQ, TDLR. TCQ.
TDLR is the license for that.
And at that point, to help with him,
TCP's environment.
they may write a check to the city or have the work done themselves by any contractor.
No.
No write a check.
No rain check.
Well, but if you want to take advantage of the city,
No.
yes.
No.
Okay, we're taking that up.
90 days, bring your documentation.
Bring documentation, otherwise you go on the 18th.
Yep.
Okay,
That's as simple as it can be.
very simple.
You've got the option, if you don't want to participate, then you can move yourself the next 9 days, and if you don't want to participate, then hello, third billing cycle,
Yep.
the under bill.
Well, no, fourth billing cycle.
And I guess the form will cover it, saying I'm not gonna participate in it, so the city knows not to put it on.
Once you bring the form in, the city will know.
Now, does that satisfy the gallery?
Well, there's two of us.
Best work you've done yet.
I'll take it.
Okay, next.
There is no next. We already said that.
Next is adjourn.
Adjourn.
Oh, I like that.
Motion?
Motion. There we go.
The others that wood block right there is smashed that, right?
Actually, that's.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Finish filling
I think that's good.
Can I go to Morrison